Hey everybody, this is Joseph here with another video, and I'm going to make another video because sometimes I get kind of lackadaisical about making videos. I don't really have that supposed energy to get up there and do it, but I've been checking out a lot of videos on the vinyl community, and I've been inspired by some. One of the recent ones I checked out by way of Mazzy, who's Norman Maslov's channel, who I've enjoyed for quite some time. He's, you know, incredible person here in the vinyl community. He's got such a great collection and insight into the music. Well, he referred me, or he mentioned another person in the vinyl community called Craig Danger at Vinyl Record Player, and I'll put down the links in the notes. And seeing the energy of these guys, especially the new find of Craig Danger and his great knowledge of soul music, has inspired me to dig into my own soul collection. I don't have a huge collection, but I always have been a fan of soul music. And so I thought I would dig in, and that's something I need to do, is listen to more of my soul music. So thanks to Craig. First of all, I'm going to mention this is probably one of my all-time favorite groups, soul funk groups, Tower of Power out of Oakland, California. This is their second album, Bump City, and this is a really remarkable album. It's been a favorite ever since it came out in, 1972 or so, but not sure of the year. But it has a couple of their hits. They were never really a big hit-making group, but they did have a hit with um, Down to the Nightclub. And of course, probably their biggest hit was, or one of the biggest hits was You're Still a Young Man, with that classic record trumpet introduction by Mick Gillette, the late great trumpet player with the great chops and just beautiful sound, incredible player, Mick Gillette. And I also mentioning this one in particular because Dave Garibaldi, the amazing drummer after all these years with Tower of Power, he's had a couple of stints where he wasn't in the band, but overall he's been with the band for about 50 years, and he's calling it a career. He's going off the road because Tower's still going strong on the road, playing a lot of dates after all these years. But Dave is gonna take it easy, relax wherever he lives, and he's just left down some incredible grooves through the years. So shout out to Tower of Power and Dave Garibaldi drums. Next up is another soul funk group, and I'm originally from Southern California, and one of my favorite bands, and everybody's favorite bands, or a lot of people's, is War. They've been around probably for almost as long as Tower of Power, I believe, and this one is called All Day Music, and it's got the great summer vibe hit called All Day Music. Also, one of their other hits was Slipping Into Darkness. And I always enjoyed War's frontline with Lee Oscar on harmonica and Charles Miller on saxophone, Lonnie Jordan singing vocals and keyboards, and a great rhythm section of um, Harold Brown, Papa D. Allen on percussion. But always such great memories with War. I can remember me and my cousins hanging out at the beach in Ensenada, Baja California. We only had a couple of tapes in those days to play, and I remember one of them was War, and we just listened to the heck out of that thing while we were partying at the beach. So nothing but good memories associated with War. Next up is a soul collection. Definitely needs Stevie Wonder. And of course, Stevie had that great run of albums in the 70s. And I think this was the first one of that run of incredible albums. This one is, of course, Music of the Mind. And there's so many things to like about this album, but Superwoman, I remember that was always one of my favorites. An incredible thing about this album also is Stevie plays most of the instruments on here, I believe. Buzzy Featon plays guitar, and there's a trombone solo by Art Barron. But Stevie's all over the place, playing drums and of course a lot of keyboards, synthesizers, incredible gatefolds, a lot of cool pictures there. And like I say, if you're talking about soul music, And talking about 70s, you have to go with Stevie Wonder. Another artist from Motown is the late great Tammy Terrell. This one is called Irresistible. And of course, everybody's heard Tammy Terrell, whether you know it or not, because she would sing those great duets with Marvin Gaye, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, and Precious Love. And she only had, unfortunately, one solo album because her life tragically ended from, I believe, brain cancer. She was only 24, and I always just love the album cover. Tammy was a very beautiful woman, young woman there, and this is a good album. It's songs that she recorded before she got sick and released after her illness was revealed, but really a lot of potential. And I think Tammy would have been one of the great stars out of Motown. She already is, anyways, but just by even though she recorded so little. But this album is solid. I was actually able to score this a couple years ago from a guy who was selling on Facebook, and it was really a great score. And so glad to have it. I believe it was re-released on a record store day, maybe a year or two ago, on orange vinyl. But I believe this is an OG for me, or maybe it's a repress, like a recent repress. But Tammy Terrell, beautiful voice. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, we're gonna stay more with Motown. Actually, this is Gordy, and this is the Temptations. It's kind of a covered up cover, and the album is, of course, Sky's the Limit by the Temptations. And the Temptations are still a strong force here. This is, of course, with Eddie Kendricks, and I believe it's Dennis Edwards on the lead vocals. But I had to mention this one because it's probably got my all-time favorite Temptations hit, which is Just My Imagination. Just love that song, just like a dreamlike quality. And Eddie Kendricks has such a soulful vocal. The production is just spot on by Norman Whitfield, and it's just such an amazing number. I mean, I know we always say this when posting about vinyl, this is perhaps my favorite song, but Just My Imagination is just a song that really I take to heart all the time. Just My Imagination. Sky's the Limit, the Temptations. Now we get out of Motown and we'll go to the great Atlantic Sound, which of course we got into Wilson Pickett. This is the best of album, and it's got, of course, some of his big hits. I'm a Midnight Mover. It's got that great rendition of Hey Jude where Dwayne Allman and him do the big freak out at the ending, and with a lot of, no one could scream a soulful scream like Wilson Pickett, except maybe James Brown. These were the two go-to soul guys back in the day. And I remember my dad's friends, when they came around and had an 8-track player, the first two 8-tracks people got was a tape by Wilson Pickett and James Brown, because those were a must to be cruising around in your car. And of course, Wilson Pickett. This one is kind of an outlier, you might say. Most people probably have never heard of this band unless you're into Tejano music. But this is called Little Joe and the Latineers. It's called Unbeatable. And Little Joe and the Latineers are a band from Texas, normally known for playing Tejano music. But they're an incredible band in that genre. But also they can do great R&B soul covers. And this album here is all in English, and it's all covers. But it's got some incredible numbers, including When Something Is Wrong With My Baby, I'm Your Puppet. You know, you can't beat James and Bobby Purify, but Little Joe and his brother, Johnny, they do a really outstanding job on that one. And they also do a great cover on Love Is a Hurtin' Thing by Bobby Butler. He was really an amazing person in the Tejano scene because he was an African American, but he sang in the Tejano genre also. They call him El Charro Negro. And of course, you can't go wrong. You have to mention, if you're talking about soul, you got to mention Aretha, Queen of Soul. And yeah, this might be kind of cheating. This is the greatest hits album also. Aretha's Gold, but it's got all the winners. And we might start taking Aretha for granted sometime with these hits because we hear them so often. But I Say a Little Prayer still brings goosebumps to me every time I hear it. It's just such a soulful rendition. I think it's probably one of the great recordings of all time, just the way Aretha does it. And just Aretha's amazing. Whether she's doing I Say a Little Prayer, of course, Respect's on here. Chain of Fools, that great guitar intro. Yeah, Queen of Soul, Aretha. And next up, how about a little bit of Tyrone Davis. Let's see what we got here. Tyrone Davis, Turn Back the Hands of Time. And this cover is pretty beat up. You can see it's got a lot of wear and tear. In the back, it's even more worn out. But I always loved Tyrone Davis. I think he's one of the great soul singers of the day. And Turn Back the Hands of Time. And this is just a slamming album. Just the horns, the bass line, the rhythm section, all the way through. But yeah, Turn Back the Hands of Time is one of the great soul classics. So Tyrone Davis. And last but not least, another band out of Texas, Archie B and the Drowls. Of course, everybody knows them from doing the Tighten Up. And Archie would tend to repeat that riff and that groove on throughout his albums. And on this one, he does a song called "I Can't Stop Dancing," and it sounds a lot like Tighten Up. But it's a great album. He does a great cover on "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay," where he mentions the Vietnam War and being in Texas. And it's a great cover. But Archie B and the Drowls, very soulful singer. I believe he's still even active today. But yeah, Archie B and the Drowls. So that'll do it for today's video. You know, if you like these videos, like, subscribe, and I'll put in the notes some of those other channels that I just mentioned. Have a great day.